The music has ended. That must mean it's time to start. Good morning. April 15th, tax day in the U.S. I don't know whether this is tax day in other parts of the country, but I'm glad you're here with me. Bill Caskey here. We're going live every day, 8:30. As you know, my mission in life, which we're going to talk a little bit about your mission today, my mission is to take some of the many things that I've learned and share them with you so that you can reach your potential at a higher level in the sales or business profession. It includes mindset stuff, market stuff, mechanical things, and I'm really glad to be here today. Before we begin, well, anyway, today's topic. If you are someone who feels like you're always in a competitive battle and you've always got some kind of competitive mindset where you're constantly thinking about, well, what are they doing and who else is out there and are they talking to my customer? I want to talk to you today about a no competition model. 3 things that I think if you do these 3 things, and these are not easy to do, but it will be nice if you can get out of the mindset of thinking that you are competing with somebody else. It doesn't mean that other people aren't out there selling the same kind of stuff you are. Of course, you're not going to stop that. All I want you to do is focus in your own mind and then allow the marketplace to show up and be reflective of that mindset, because we are inside what we paint to the world. And if you paint to the world somebody who's attached and eager and scared and conscious of the competition, well, what are they saying and what is their price and all that stuff? That's not helpful at all. So we're going to talk about 3 things today that I think will change the entire dynamic in the buyer-seller dance. If you have not already enrolled in our May 6th to 10th $1 Million Seller Challenge, we run these every month. It's a time that I can invite a handful of people, 50 to 100 people, and do a 5-day, 1 hour a day workshop series on how do you grow your business? How do you get to the $1 million level? We just finished one last week. It was awesome, had great people. And we're going to be doing another one May 6th to 10th. And it is all virtual, of course. You can go to milliondollarsellerchallenge.com to find out more. So, over the years, when I go into a company, I'm always interested in the competitive landscape. And when a company calls me in, they say, hey, look, we want you to come in and work with our sales team. I want to know, well, what's the market look like? What's the landscape of the market? And I don't do that so much anymore, but it's useful to know. It's useful to know, well, who are the other players? Who are the people who are vying for the same dollars, the same budget? I think that's important. And as I got into it more and more, I realized that I don't know if that's helpful. I don't know if it matters who else is out there, because when we think, well, we've got 3 competitors and these people across town, they're always involved in this, in these deals that I'm in, I think we take our eye off the ball. And my only competition should be a competition shared with the customer. He or she and I are on the same side of the table. And who is our competition? Who is our collective competition? What's the problem? It's the problem to be solved. It's the problem to be avoided. It's the destination to be pursued. It's them. It's their issues. It's their business. It's their life. It's the transformation that they want, whatever that is. That's what we are in competition together to fight against. That's we always talk about a common enemy. And I really do believe that we have a common enemy with the prospect. And the common enemy is maybe even how they've done things in the past. Maybe it's poor thinking on their part. Maybe it's old, antiquated strategies they've used. And now we're here, whoever has put us here, to help them elevate those strategies. Well, our enemy is the old strategy. Our enemy is the mediocrity that they've become accustomed to and tolerant of. So that's the first step, is we have to think, well, how do we look at competition? It's not the guy down the street. It's us lining up behind the desk. This is my prospect here, very close to me. And how are we lining up against the enemy? There's always an enemy. There's always an enemy. And it's not your competition. It's not your customer. It's the thing that we're battling against. There was a book written about 10 years ago called The Blue Ocean Strategy by, I think it was, I don't know how to pronounce his name. And I think it was a guy, Rene, it was French, Montbon or something like that. And it received all sorts of rave reviews because it was really it was a groundbreaking book. and it talked about the blue ocean versus the red ocean. And the red ocean is where all the blood is. It's where everybody's fighting it out. All of your competitors are fighting it out. There's drama and chaos, and there's just all sorts of issues and pain and blood. The blue ocean is where it's clean. The water's clear. The water's clean. There is no competition. Now, you can go find markets like that, but the problem with going to find markets like that is you're going to have a lot of misses because there's a reason competition is not there. There's a reason there aren't other vendors. But I think theoretically, he has a point, and that is that we want to operate in the blue ocean. I want you to be in a place where there is no competition. Oh, sorry about that. I got to close this. I want you to be in a place where there is no competition. And there is no competition first inside of you and then in the marketplace. So let's talk about three things here. And I've looked at different models, and I'm going to share one with you here in a minute that I think are they're old. And so whenever something is old, you have to look at it and say, okay, that was done in 1970. That's 40, 50 years ago. Doesn't hold water today. And yet there's a lot of companies that still use this model. It's obsolete. Some of these models of competitive landscape and things like that are just obsolete. So let's talk about number one. Number one is I think you have to really get clear on your purpose on this planet. Now, to which you will say, well, how does that have anything to do with competitive strategy? I'm not talking about competitive strategy here. I'm talking about lining yourself up with your calling, your assignment, your divine calling, your purpose here on the planet. We are all here for some reason or several reasons. If you do not define that and it becomes murky, then when you go out to the marketplace, you're going to be unsure of yourself because you're going to be off purpose, as I have been in my life most of the time. If we're off purpose, we're out of alignment. When we're out of alignment, think about this. So lack of purpose leads to lack of alignment. Lack of alignment leads to what? We're out of rapport with ourselves. And when we're out of rapport with ourselves and we're unclear about what the hell we're even doing here, how much rapport do you think we're going to have with another human being? Here's an example of that. I always say at the beginning of these programs, these videos, that my role, my goal, my mission in my business life is to expose people to concepts and strategies that help them realize their personal potential at a time when they may not be realizing that potential. All of my challenges, all of my work, all of my coaching is really all about that. It's not to teach you sales techniques. Sales techniques might be useful occasionally, but that's such a diluted way to look at growing your business. And a lot of these sales trainers are out there saying, you need to say this in the third minute, and you need to say this in the fifth minute, and never ask a question you don't know the answer to. And if you're going to want a positive answer, you got to ask a negative question. All that garbage. It's like, what relevancy does it really have that have to anything? And yet these coaches and sales trainers who have been around for 40 years, the systems they may not have been, and they've all learned from each other. It's like when one news source gets copied by 10 news sources, and those 10 get copied by 100, and all of a sudden it's out in the marketplace, and it was a lie, or it was fake news, it was whatever, because this one person who had some sway in the news media said something, and then everybody else picked up on it. Same thing with sales coaches. Everybody's picked up on, what do I need to do or say in the buyer-seller dance so that I can get the deal? And that's just a short-term, very micro way to look at things. I'm more interested in, why are you here? What is your calling? What is the thing you are uniquely built and shaped for? You've had mountains, you've had valleys. We all have. We've had setbacks. We've had roadblocks. We've had wins. We've had victories sometimes where we pulled out victory from the jaws of defeat. And other times we've pulled out defeat from the jaws of victory. So there's all these things that shape us, make us ready for our unique assignment, for our unique purpose going forward. It doesn't mean that your purpose at 25 years old is the same at 65 at all. It's probably not. But we have to be constantly paying attention to that, because if we're out in the marketplace unaligned, out of rapport with ourselves, we don't even know why we're here. What the hell are we here for? We're here just to make money? Really? Is that it? We're here just to sell this person something? Is that it? Got to be something deeper. When there's something deeper, for example, in my world, when I say, I'm here to help people, as many people as I can over the next 10 years of my life, help them get better because they can realize their potential by the study of mindset, mechanics, methods, things like that. When I go into an organization, if they want something that's outside my purpose, it ain't me. It's not for me. If they want to just check off a list, I've had calls from people who say, I want to hire you for a 4-hour speech. And when I start to ask them, what are the problems? Well, we really don't have any problems. We're just looking to check a box, basically, because we have this 4-hour open and we need to have somebody come in and talk. Well, that's not they're not going to pay my fee for that. If there's no compelling reason to have me in, why am I even going? It's a total waste of time for me. Plus, it's probably not going to happen. So I don't spend a lot of time on it. What I will spend time on is if somebody says, hey, look, our people are pretty good. We need to get to the next level. They all want to get to the next level. We've been trying. We can't get there. Can you come in and help us? Now, that's a prospect because they are speaking the language that's congruent with my mission and my values and my calling. I think I'm pretty good at that. I'm sure there's other better. But if I'm clear on my purpose and I'm clear on the uniqueness that I can bring, then it's easy for me to say, yes, I'll pursue this, or no, I won't. And to be honest with you, there's no competition when you are in standing unique with your purpose and your calling. There's no competition because nobody else is. Doesn't mean they don't have their own. Of course, they got their own. They probably haven't worked through it like you will as a result of this lesson. So number one, I want you to get crystal clear. I want you to be in alignment so that you're in rapport with yourself, so that you're in rapport with the prospect. So when they see you show up, they say, I don't know what this person has, but this person is dangerous. I want you to give off the vibe of danger, and not danger like physical danger, but like, oh, this person is somebody to be reckoned with. You've met those people before. Those people that they walk in a room and you say, that person is good at what they do because they have this element of danger. I'm not talking about James Bond. What was it? Secret Agent Man. I think there's something about danger in there. But connect with your purpose. Number two, recognize that you, and this is where all these systems fail, you are at the center point of your brand. I know that very few marketing departments and companies want to acknowledge that. But if you're in business-to-business sales today, and most of the people who join our challenge are business-to-business, they're either creators, founders, VPs of sales, or sales professionals. They are in business-to-business. They are not usually selling used cars. They're not selling used boats. They're not B2C. They're not people who work at the Apple store. These are people who are out in the marketplace doing business, and your brand matters. When your brand is nowhere to be found, you're just like everybody else who shows up. Whose brand is nowhere to be found. So what are you doing to build your personal brand? We had an extra session in the challenge on Saturday where I spent the whole hour on personal brand building. And I got so many comments. I feel like it's finally happening that this personal brand thing is really starting to latch. It's really starting to connect with people. And if you don't have one and your competition does, it's going to be a bad day for you. There's bad days ahead. I want you to be out in front of it. I want you to build your personal brand. So here's an example of a model that people have used. You've probably seen this before. I think it was Philip Kotler who created this, and I actually think there's different levels here to it, but there was the core product in the middle, and then there was the actual product, and then there was the augmented product, and then there was the experiential product, the experience they have with your company, and all these things around the outline. It was rather confusing. But I used to use it because I like the idea of there's the core product, there's the thing you offer, it's your core offer, but then there's stuff around that, like your service levels, your extras, your bonuses you put in. It's how you work with people. It's your sales conduct. I think there's important, but nowhere in these models are you in the middle. You should be in the middle of that. The core product should be around the outside of you. You are the brand. Because when I look at sales organizations and I look at, let's say there's 10 people, 2 people are head and shoulders above everybody else. It's the 80-20 principle. It always is. Price's law, 80-20, Pareto, whatever you want to call it. It's always there. And if you're not one of the 20, then you're one of the 80, and you're splitting the proceeds with the other 80%. What is it these 20% have in common that the other 80 don't? They have better brands. And I'm not talking about they have a podcast or they have a YouTube channel. I'm not talking about that kind of brand. They have better reputations in the business. They're out there more. They're networking. They're in the business. They're in the game. They're on the field, and everybody else is shrinking. I don't want you to shrink. Your personal brand should be at the center of your offer, and that's how you're going to get to a no competition, because there is no other person like you. That may be good or not. This probably is good, because if you shape yourself, and I'm not talking about change yourself, I'm just talking about bring forth. For example, here's an example that we talked about on Saturday. What's your philosophy? What's your brand philosophy? Brands, Nike, Coke, they all have philosophies. What's yours? If you have a brand, you kind of have to have a philosophy. What do you believe in? What works and doesn't work for you? What are you tolerant of and intolerant of? Start to write a little bit. Make a list of those, just in a bullet pointed list. What is your philosophy of business, of serving customers, of money? What is your philosophy of a customer paying you money? Like my philosophy whenever I communicate the value of a course is always, don't buy this if you're looking for skills. Buy this because you want to get a massive return on your investment. If it's a $20,000 investment in a coaching program or whatever, don't you want to get a 10x return? Don't you want to generate $200,000 of income or something around there for this return? Because if you don't have that philosophy, that's my philosophy, and I will share that with people. And if they say I don't have the money, it has nothing to do with not having the money. It has to do with you never looked at this as a value. You see it as an expense. And if your customer, if you see it as an expense, how are you going to get your customer to see it as anything other than expense? There's the price you pay for the thing, and then there's the value of the thing. And usually those are two different things. All right. So number 2 is your personal brand should be at the center of all this. And when it is, nobody can compare you. You have no competition because there's only one you. All right. Number three, a way to have no competition is to conduct yourself differently in the sales process. When you're on the Zoom call, when you're in face-to-face, when you're on the phone, are you conducting yourself uniquely? And are you conducting yourself in concert with your purpose? Like my purpose is to help people realize their potential. So if I hear something that doesn't fit in with that, I immediately ask myself the question, well, is this person really a prospect? Sometimes they are, sometimes I've missed something, sometimes they're not. Second thing is, my personal brand has a philosophy that if you're not looking to grow yourself and really be all you can be on the planet, then you may not be a prospect for me. If you're just looking for sales skills, I just want to brush up on my sales skills. I'm not your guy. There's plenty of other people that do that. So how you conduct yourself. So one way you conduct yourself, here's just an example, and this has to do with personal brand and personal conduct, is do you send an agenda before each meeting? Do you sit down and write out an agenda, type it out, Google Doc, whatever, and send an agenda? Have you taken any time to think through what are the yellow flags? Am I clear about the problem the customer has? Am I clear about where their mind is off, where their thinking is off? If I'm not clear about that, how am I going to help them get to a new place? Where are they? A part of your agenda for yourself. You have 2 agendas. You have your internal agenda, which is something you do for you. I would do that first. What are all the things you want to cover? And then transfer it, maybe take out some of the things that you don't want them to know you're thinking about. I mean, I don't think you need to have everything on there, but maybe you do. Maybe you do. That's probably a test of vulnerability. How vulnerable can you be? Are you willing to make the internal agenda the external agenda and let the prospect in on what you're thinking? Does this person really have commitment? That's a question I always have up front. Are they really committed? If there's a question about their commitment, I probably haven't heard it yet. Because somebody who's committed to working on themselves will say, hey, here's where I am. Here's where I'd like to be. I've tried stuff to get there. I can't get there. I've listened to your podcast. I think you're the guy that will help me. I want to earn $500,000 next year. I'm only at 200. I got a long way to go. What do you have for me? That's a person that's committed. Now, they may be lying. They may be, what is that? Oh, that was funny. Somebody did that. I love that. Whoever did that, you got to teach me. You got to teach me how you did that. Stars and flash, eclipse of the sun. All right. I've heard that song too many times in the last week. So how you conduct yourself matters. If you conduct yourself the exact same way everybody else does, how do they separate you? How do they differentiate you from everybody else? They don't. But if you, here's a good example. I've got a client, several clients actually, who have taken me up on the advice. Whenever you have a first meeting with somebody, if it's a cold meeting, they don't know much about you. They may see you out in the marketplace at networking events, but they don't really know much about you. Shoot a video. Shoot a 2 to 3 minute video and let them know some of the things that you do, what you don't do, how long the company's been around, what your mission is, what your philosophy is. Just shoot a quick video. You don't even have to shoot it custom. You could shoot one and use it for all people. Send it to them prior to the first meeting. Who else does that? Nobody. That's conduct. It's not how you ask the question. It's the whole entire sales process. Are you conducting yourself in a manner consistent with your uniqueness? Are you conducting yourself in a manner consistent with your uniqueness? Or are you just doing what everybody else does? So think about the sales process and think about what can I do in it that will bring value to it, whether they buy or not. When you take that philosophy, look, I'm here to serve you. I'm here to share ideas. I'm here to offer resources, not free advice, not free consulting. I'm not going to do anything for you. I'm not going to give you my solution. There's a fee to that. But in the meantime, I'm here to help. I'm here to ask you questions. Let's get clear on what the issue is. You do that and you say that verbally in the video or face-to-face, you've separated yourself from everybody else. Nobody says that. Now it has to be real. It has to be real. All right. So in conclusion, you will find yourself in a place of no competition when you are clear on your purpose. You're crystal clear. And this might take somebody else to help you. Sometimes it's hard for us to just start writing that down. You may have to have somebody else there in your face, not in your face, but gently prodding you through that, because sometimes we are so close to our lives that we can't even see why we're here. We just know that we live lives and we're busy all day and we're doing things and we're making calls and we're sending proposals and we're shooting videos and we're doing all this. What's it all about? We only have a certain amount of time. If there's even a software or a website you can go, it basically says, how old are you? What are your habits? How many days you got left? I haven't done it for a while. At one point, I think I had 6,000 days or 8,000 days or 8,000 dinners or 8,000 lunches or 8,000 whatever. But the point is that you're not here forever. And I want you to be on purpose. And I think that's going to make a huge difference in how you conduct yourself, how you build your personal brand, how people see you in the marketplace. I think you separate yourself. All I'm looking is for a little separation. I'm not looking for you to show up and be somebody that's so crazy, so wackadoo that people don't want to do business with you. I'm looking for you to take these 5 people that are in the marketplace with you. We'll call them your competitors. But once you separate yourself slightly from there because of the way you conduct yourself, personal brand, living your purpose, then as long as there's some space there, they can say, well, that person's different. That person's unique. All these people look alike. That person, you listening to the LinkedIn Live, YouTube Live, look different. So hopefully that helps you today and serves you. I am happy to do this every day. I want to talk about things that nobody else is talking about. Hopefully we did that today. Once again, if you have not signed up or want to learn more about the $1 Million Seller Challenge coming up on May 6th, make sure you do that. All of the challenges will be here. So if you can't make May, we'd love to have you at a future one. It's awesome. Low tuition. And I spend an hour with you every day and work on your business. See you, man. Take care. Bye.